Well, when did you first meet Pete Townshend?
I met him at school. I was in the year above him, and of course you couldn't hide Pete in a crowd. He was, I mean, especially in those days. I mean, I always say it, and he hates it when I say it, but he's like a nose on a stick. But I love the way he looks, and he just glowed. He stood out, and John Entwistle indeed. And they were both in the same year, and same thing with John. He had a quality to him that you couldn't hide him in a crowd. It was really weird.
Of the music you've recorded, what's your own favourite?
I like all of it. I haven't really got a favourite. I mean, what's so great about our albums, there are all particular times in our lives. We didn't make many albums. And so what we were going through at the time is very much reflected in the music. So I like it. I like them all for that reason. They're all different colours and different sentiments. But if I had to choose one song, it would be Behind Blue Eyes. And because I just remember the day. It was the day my dog got killed. And she was a pointer, and she got run over, and she had blue eyes. Her name was Nellie. So I was very, very upset, to say the least, and it comes out. You can hear it in the vocal.
Let's talk about art and music. Over the span of your lifetime, how has it changed? How has the perception of it changed?
God, well, that's a deep question. Dad, what are you doing to me here? I mean, the music business now is unrecognisable. I mean, it's almost disintegrated. Very difficult for young musicians now to even make a living on the road. If you get lucky still, but that's becoming fewer and fewer. Films, especially American films, I think, it's kind of a slight decline there too, compared with European films. TV Americans very good, but film industry is, I don't know. And the internet, of course, has made people, especially when they're on with the iPhone, bringing that in. It worries me that they're missing their lives. Their life is now here and not here, and that kind of scares the shit out of me. Right. I mean, it really. I mean, what worries me more than anything is they seem to be so busy all the time. Now you know, and I know, the times that you come up with the epiphanies and the solving of solutions and the sorting yourself out are the times when you're doing nothing. I very rarely see people doing nothing these days.
And particularly young people. What a strong point.
Young people, yeah. Where's the time for contemplation?
What an interesting point, because you're right that creativity so often comes when you're doing nothing.
That's right.
Quote unquote. Yeah. And you just let your mind wander on.
Yeah. Who's training them to do that?
Oh, good question.
You do, and the truth is, I've found in life, in some ways we all need training to do nothing.
But they don't teach that in school.
No. It's not, there's no money in it.
Now, you became famous when you were very young. At what age would you say you recognize, say, look, I can like it or dislike it, but I'm famous?
Really, Woodstock. Woodstock was we were a well-known band in this country and in Britain and Europe, and we'd had hit records. But Woodstock, just the whole event of Woodstock, for some reason or the other, that just captured people's imaginations, and then the film came out, and it became stuff of legends. But then again, when I did Tommy, I suddenly realised that was another enormous exposure to people that I hadn't experienced before. Dealing with the rock exposure was easy, but the film exposure, being a film star, I didn't like that stuff. I couldn't play their games.
Well, on the other hand,
you have to kiss too much, you know.
Well, but it paid well, and there was no heavy lifting.
No, I know, yeah, I know, but it's the business side of that is, the great thing about rock and roll is that we were inventing it as we went along. You know, it was all made on the hoof. So we were completely in control. Whatever we wanted to do, we did. And the record companies, of course, just went, oh, well, how much did we make out the last one? Yeah, well, they've given the money. You know? And that's all. But you know, the film business is exactly the opposite. You know, it's ruthless, and I hated that bit of it.
Any regrets?
Regrets. I wish we kept. I wish I'd been managed. I wish I'd managed to keep Keith alive a bit longer. But then I say that I wish I'd known more about what we know today about rehab and intervention and all that stuff.
Because
then we were so naive and stupid, we didn't know anything. But then there's something in the back of my head that tells me that Keith never would have made an old man. He wouldn't have wanted to be an old man. He wanted to be the world's greatest rock drummer.
Which he was.
And he died being that. And the way he physically was going, it was doubtful whether he would have died being that for very much longer.
What do you want people to remember about The Who?
Oh, just listen to the music, that'll do.
Just listen to the music?
Yeah, it's all in the music. And what I'm really proud of is that you can listen to any Who record, you'll hear every word. Whereas a lot of rock and roll songs, you go, what does he say? not that there's anything wrong with that. It's great when it's lighter sentiment. That's fine. But I'm very proud that it's all about the words. You can hear all the words, and there's an awful lot of them, and some of them are very big words. So you have to be incredible, especially the way I sing them. You do have to be incredibly fit to be able to deliver it. I mean, one day it will go. And I hope someone taps me on the shoulder. Time to stop. That's what I really hope, because I hope that would be dreadful to go through the motions. Because I can honestly say that I've never been on a stage ever and gone through the motions. It's always I can't sing like that. I have to go back to singing the song for the first time. When I go out and sing, even today, go and sing Barbara O'Reilly or any of those songs. When I'm doing it that night, I will be singing it for the first time. I just always had a hunger to be a singer. I had a hunger to be a guitarist. We were so poor I had to make a guitar. Couldn't afford to buy one, but I wanted one that bad. I made one, and it works, and I learnt to play.
In the way I've heard that, is that true or just legend, that you made your own
guitar?
No,
it's true, absolutely true.
Well, tell me about that.
Well, it was when I first saw Elvis with a guitar. I thought, well, that looks cool. And of course I didn't understand it, but he had a guitar with a leather case, tooled leather case on it. And I thought that was the guitar. So, wow, this is a cool looking thing. And so I thought, oh, I've got to have a guitar. If I'm going to be a singer, I've got to have a guitar, So I went out and stood outside a shop window that had a guitar hanging in it. And it was just ordinary Spanish guitar. And measured it through the window and kind of bought sheets of plywood. And my family were builders, so there was always tools lying about, like a spoke shave and a draw knife and all those things. So I made myself a neck, put the frets on it, managed to get the stuff to build the guitar. And but I didn't realise that measuring it through the window of the shop had amplified the size. It's big all the way around anyway. And I also didn't understand that the case on Elvis's guitar was made of leather. It wasn't part of the guitar, because I stuck loads of kind of furniture carvings all over mine to make it all the same.